You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, folks, what's happening in Georgia is truly an abomination. And the question is, where are all of the corporations? Why are they so silent? Why are they saying nothing? Why aren't they standing with black folks to oppose Republican efforts to impose massive voter suppression bill? Folks, it is a shame what's going on. The Georgia Senate recently passed one of the worst voter suppression bills we have seen since the Jim Crow era. Yes, folks, since the Jim Crow era. Now, folks like Black Voters Matter, New Georgia Project, are demanding that corporations step up and do their part to stop this from happening. Joining us right now, the co-founders of Black Voters Matter, Cliff Albright and Latosha Brown. Glad to have y'all on the show. Cliff, this is Cliff and Latosha. It's very interesting. I was reading a piece from Ron Brownstein last night, and they referenced the transgender bathroom bill in North Carolina, and I was like, y'all should have been listening to Roland Martin Unfiltered 3 weeks ago. Then they talked to a civil rights leader who said there's conversations happening among the civil rights people of calling for a mass mobilization march in Washington, D.C. for voting rights. And I was like, if y'all were listening to Roland Martin Unfiltered about 3 weeks ago, y'all would have learned that as well. So I get a kick out of this whole deal because I said then, I say now, and I don't care. Black people stood with LGBT groups when that transgender bathroom bill was passed in North Carolina. Major corporations said they're not going to bring movies there. They said Salesforce announced they were not going to be moving jobs there as well. All these different things happening. It was the business community that forced Republicans in North Carolina to back down. It was the business community in Indiana that forced Mike Pence to back down when they passed a transgender bathroom bill there. What y'all are saying and what I'm saying is to LGBT groups, to the business community, to all of these other different folks, are y'all going to stand with black people in this moment? Because this bill, Latosha, is all about black people and what black voters did in this year's election.
Absolutely. There's no question that this bill is targeted at the historic turnout of black voters in the state of Georgia. And, I think it's really interesting that this is the week out of all weeks. This is the week that we actually are commemorating the 56th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, when our people were beaten on the bridge in Selma, Alabama, to fight for the right to vote. And here we are in the state of Georgia, where black folks showed out in record numbers. And what we're seeing these draconian laws, these bills that were passed on Monday. And the Senate passed a bill, the omnibus bill, that is just egregious, the worst bills that we've seen since the Jim Crow era. But then it gets better, or worse, wherever place that you sit. On today, less than 3 hours ago, Roland, they basically combined both of those bad bills out of the House. And so the substitute bill that came out of the House about 3 hours ago, matter of fact, their attorneys and some of our partners are still, actually the lawyers are still looking at the bills. They're 88 pages long, and it's actually worse than the bill that was passed on Monday. So the question is, fundamentally, those businesses, those corporations, those groups, our allies that we've stood with, where are you? This is a bill that literally is like Jim Crow era in terms of that will tremendously undermine and impact black voters in the state of Georgia.
See, the thing here, Cliff, is real simple. If we gonna stand with other folk in your fight, where are you when it comes to ours? If we gonna buy your products, where are you? Y'all took out a full-page ad today in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, specifically naming companies. And y'all have been saying Home Depot, Arthur Blank. Black people built that stadium. Black people in Atlanta helped you become a billionaire with Home Depot. Delta Airlines, just yesterday, big announcement naming a building after former Mayor and Ambassador Andrew Young. Coca-Cola, UPS. We could go all down the line. All folks with a Black History Month pronouncements and King Day celebrations and sponsoring all the black events all across the country. This is the moment where you have to do what the Coca-Cola CEO did when Atlanta refused, when white business leaders did not want to recognize Dr. King, when he said, Coca-Cola don't need Atlanta, Atlanta needs Coca-Cola. And if y'all don't show up to honor Dr. King, I will pull Coca-Cola out of Atlanta. They all showed up. The business community by themselves could get this law dropped today.
That's right, especially when you look at the fact that the version of the bill that came out of the Senate actually only passed by one vote. Just one vote in the Senate. And so, you mean to tell me we don't think that Coca-Cola, with all of its marketing genius, right? Like you got people walking around who've been saying have a Coke and a smile for like 3 decades now, right? Like Coca-Cola knows how to deliver a message when they want to. They know how to do some fancy ads when they want to. They know how to use the full force of their creativity and their economics and their politics and their political leverage in order to deliver a message when they want to. You mean to tell me that they couldn't have, if they had exerted more public pressure, they couldn't have persuaded just one vote? If they had done that, we wouldn't be in this situation right now, right? And so that's what we're saying to these companies. It does us little good, as you pointed out, Roland, for you to have all these nice statements and commercials, talk about Black Lives Matter and talking about the legacy of John Lewis and how much he's meant to this state and to this country. But then when the rubber meets the road, right, when you got voter suppression that's out there, all of a sudden you want to be silent. And in fact, it's really worse than being silent, because in many ways, they're not just not picking a side. They've actually been complicit in the voter suppression. We've talked on this show before about the ways that they've given their political donations to some of these Republicans that are pushing this voter suppression. So we're not having it. We're telling them that it will not be business as usual. We've got this campaign. You mentioned the ad that we put out today. We took it a step further from last week. Last week, we named the companies. This week, the ad that we put out, full-page ad, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, this week we took it a step further. We put the phone numbers and the email addresses for the CEOs of those 6 companies that we've been targeting. And this weekend, we're actually taking it to them. We're actually going to be doing a visit to the world of Coca-Cola. We're all going to have a Coke and a smile as we tell them that they need to take a stand against voter suppression.
See, the thing here, Latosha, that folk have to understand is you pass this law. Look, we already see they've already passed laws, voter suppression law in Iowa. Republicans, a Senate committee in Florida passed out of committee to have no ballot drop boxes. 0. That's
right.
Not
That's
one
right.
per county, none.
That's right.
They are Texas, North Carolina. We can start going state after state after state because they are afraid of black people and they are scared to death of 2022. And so they're like, oh man, and you got a Republican in Arizona who literally said everybody should not vote. He, out of his mouth, said they should not vote. Everyone shouldn't have a right to vote.
Roland, the bottom line is what makes Georgia so dangerous is that this Georgia bill is not just about Georgia. That we have to really recognize that this bill will set a precedent. That we're seeing this all across this country. We're seeing over 30 states have these bills. There are hundreds of bills that have been introduced right now. And so while Georgia is ground zero for voter suppression, I think that it also sets a tone and it actually will send a message all across the nation. So this fundamentally not only will affect and impact black voters, but it will literally undermine the very fabric of democracy. And so what we have to really be able to do is not just say that we're going to call the Republicans out, although we've got to call the Republicans out not just in their political capacity, but also they have an economic interest as well. Just this week, our partners down in Hancock County, Georgia, literally launched a campaign to make sure that literally the sponsor of this Senate bill, who happens to also be the district attorney, the county attorney, like they literally master campaign and said, how can you represent the county and you don't even want the citizens, which is a majority black county, to participate in this election cycle? And as a result, the county commission passed an order for a vote of 4-0, canceling his contract, wanting to literally fire him, bring up for him to be fired as the county administrator. We are literally not, this is, as Brother Cliff said, this is a business as usual. We have to literally let people know how serious we are. Like, if you don't understand fairness and you don't understand justice, what you will understand is you understand money. And black people have economic power in this country. Matter of fact, if we, just as a consumer base, we will be the 12th largest nation in the world with our spending, our buyer power. And so now we've got to literally not create any space for people to actually sit on the fence when our very fundamental rights are at stake. And no, we're not going to go back to 1965 or march across any bridges. What we're going to do is we're going to start hitting them where the money resides. We're going to start hitting them in the pocket. We're going to start exposing them, and we're going to literally start directing our campaigns in a way that literally is about lifting up our community, but holding the entire ecosystem from the business sector to the political sector, whether you're Republican, the Democrat, whoever, that at the end of the day, we expect people, right, to stand strong as it relates to democracy. And under no circumstances are we just going to give away our vote and have to work hard, be punished because we showed up at the polls.
And the thing here, Cliff, look, folk don't get what's right. They don't get what's fair. They don't get what's just. So fine, they get money.
They get money.
You might be a broke ass poor Republican in Georgia, but if all of a sudden you start having economic boycotts, and all of a sudden we're not gonna shop at certain places. See, right. I'm talking about this. To me, what this is about what Dr. King and SCLC and Breadbasket did with sealed test milk. And what they did with sealed test milk was they were protesting sealed test milk. They then protested. They protested, and everybody who's listening, go listen to Dr. King's speech to the SCLC convention in August of 1967. You can hear this speech online. It's like an hour and a half speech. They go there. They are protesting sealed test milk, but the convenience store that was selling the milk, they completely shut it down.
That's right.
Within 48 hours, the CEO of that store chain all across Ohio said to sealed test milk, if y'all do not change your policies, I'm pulling your milk off of all my stores, because he did not want the pickets at his stores.
That's right.
And so they were not protesting his stores, but he sold sealed test milk. So what you're saying is this real simple. Okay, you're going to hit the companies. You're going to hit the companies that do business with the companies. You're going to hit the companies that do business with the companies that do business with the company, because America only understands the dollar. And you start hitting that money, folk gonna start paying attention and go, y'all need to pull that thing. Y'all need to pull that thing.
That's right. Yeah, because some folks have asked, well, if you're fighting voter suppression, why are you targeting these companies, right? And part of our response is this, and there's a lot of reasons. There's the righteousness and equality and democracy and all that. But at the end of the day, we're organizers, we're activists, and we got to use pressure points. When you're in a fight like this, it's almost like karate, right? It's like martial arts, that you got to strike at pressure points, right? And sometimes that pressure point isn't the thing that's the most obvious, right? It's not always to punch somebody in the eye. Sometimes they hit the right pressure point where you got to go for the jugular, or you might even go for the armpit. You might go for a certain spot on the back. You got to hit the pressure point where you can have the most impact. That's what we're doing with this campaign. Yes, we got friends and allies that are targeting these legislators and making those phone calls and doing all that. But we got to go where we know that we got some pressure. We got pressure with these companies because guess what? They depend on us as consumers. They depend on us as employees. We got labor that's involved in this battle. They've been joining us, making phone calls and text messages, and they're going to join at these direct actions. That's where we got some pressure, and that's where these companies can really come in handy. If they want this to be shut down, they can get it shut down. They have that capability. You take our people power, you put it with their economic power, and we can get some stuff done.
And that simply means, Latosha, to the Atlanta Chamber of Commerce and others, stop with the weak-ass statements. Have the guts to stand with Black Voters Matter. Have the guts to stand with people. Arthur Blank should have released a statement, a public statement condemning the actions of Republicans. Former President Jimmy Carter has already done that. And it shouldn't just even be the major corporations. We should go down the line. Grab that list of the top 100 companies in the state of Georgia and go down the line and say, where are you? What you gonna say? And let me be real clear. Don't go to the black companies and ask them. Let me be real clear. All the white folks in Georgia, don't be asking where's Tyler Perry. No. Where y'all at?
That's right.
See, I want to know where the white folks in the suburbs. I want to know where the white folks in Marietta, the white folks in Cobb, the white folks in Fulton. I want to know where they are because, again, I want to know where the white women at. Because every time there's a fight against voter suppression, black folks are leading it. When I was there in Georgia, there was 150,000 Native Americans there. In fact, I'm going to call the sister who was helping them. I'm going to say, hey, how are they mobilizing and organizing on this whole deal? I want to know what Latinos on this whole deal. Black folks have always had to fight, and everybody else has benefited. Should be a multiracial, multi-ethnic, multi-gender, multi-everything coalition putting that pressure on these Republicans in Georgia.
Absolutely. You know, there is, I say it often, it is not the responsibility of black people to actually carry the burden of protecting democracy on our back. And the truth of the matter is the Voting Rights Act was just not a protection mechanism for the right to vote for black people, while we were the targets that actually our constituencies literally led in that fight. But the truth of the matter is it provided protection for all voters in this country, that it actually strengthened democracy. And so in this moment, what we're looking at right now, we're calling the question, what side are you on? Are you going to stand with our community? We're seeing the worst voter suppression bills in the last 56 years, in the last 50 years in this nation, right? And where is the silence? Why are you silent? We cannot continue to support and fund the efforts of those that don't stand with us. That our money matters, that our vote matters, our voice matters, and our lives matter. And I think this is a period of time that all those companies and businesses that said that they were serious about racial equity, this should be a slam dunk for them. That this is an obvious one that literally they should be getting behind. That when we're looking at from George Floyd, where all last year, all of these companies were saying, we stand with you. Where are you now when we need you? When we're talking about where we know that black voters in particular, our vote is actually being targeted and we're under attack, we expect those that we support, those businesses that we support, to also support those efforts that make sure that they protect our vote. And this is the opportunity.
So folks are asking, what can they do? So what's happening this weekend? What's happening early next week? What do you want the people watching and listening to do?
Yeah, folks can go to our website, blackvotersmatterfund.org, right? I know that you often show it on the program. They go to our website, and there's a link there that'll take them to our action page. It'll show some actions they can take that range from, filling out a petition, calling the officials, but also this corporate pressure campaign, right? And so there's phone numbers that they can call. There's email addresses where they can reach out. This weekend, we're putting pressure on. Those are the phone numbers. That's the ad that was in the paper, and that information is also on our website. There are scripts there, so if you don't know exactly what to say, no problem. We got you covered. We got sample scripts there, so you know what to say. There's a phone number that's not on there, and that's for the world of Coca-Cola. That's where we're going to be this weekend. Again, we're going to be out there giving out information to people passing by, going inside the world of Coca-Cola. And that number is 404-676-5151. I'll send it to your producers. That's 404-676-5151. Go on and call up the world of Coca-Cola all weekend. Let them know that you want them to take a stance and support the voters in this state, right? And you can do that no matter what state you're in. You call any of these companies no matter what state you're in, because again, these are companies that are national and global companies, and more importantly, this is an issue that affects everybody in this country, because what they do here in Georgia, they're also trying to do in every other state. And there also needs to be a federal response on this. We haven't talked about it a lot tonight, but we at the end of the day, if HR 1 and HR 4 have been passed on day one of the Biden administration, we wouldn't be in this situation right now, because what Georgia's trying to do would have been illegal. So we need it. It wasn't passed then, but we need it passed right now. And to do that, we've got to end the filibuster.
Absolutely. And so we are there with you. And so bottom line is we're going to keep putting the pressure on them, because they got to feel it. They got to feel all that heat. And look, Dr. King said on April 3rd, 1968, he said, redistribute the pain.
Redistribute the pain.
That's what he laid it out.
That's right.
Latosha Brown, Cliff Albright, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to bring in my panel right now. Kieran Young, Democratic strategist. Brittany Lee Lewis, political analyst. Michael Imhotep, hosts the African History Network. Brittany, I'll start with you. Look, this is the only way. Okay, Republicans control the governor's mansion. They control the House. They control the Senate. So bottom line is, they're not paying attention. We're going to hit your pocketbook.
Absolutely. And we know historically that has always worked. Folks, when you start playing with people's money, we know that's when changes happen. And we have to do what we have to do, because this is, when we think about, this is Jim Crow in a suit and tie, if you will, Roland. And it's absolutely ridiculous. It's very clear that, this isn't actually about the ability for people to be able to vote fairly and participate in the election. It's really about, as the Republican Party is saying, election integrity. That means reversing efforts to make voting easier and justifying this with Trump's lie about, the election, it's, legitimacy or illegitimacy rather. So we got to do what we got to do.
Kieran.
So I think this is really about them making up the 12,000 votes that they lost by in Georgia. And, making sure that they continue to hold the governor's mansion. I think that's the most important thing to Georgia Republicans. And I think right now it's incumbent on the Democratic Party to fight back against that in any way they can. That means, federal legislation, meaning the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. I think that if Democrats aren't focused on making sure that all Black people have the right to vote, they're doing themselves a disservice going into 2022.
Michael, it's a lot about pressure.
Absolutely, Roland. This is our third week in a row talking about this. It's about pressure, and it's about leveraging our economics to enforce our politics. And, it's a term that I use. I call it economic guerrilla warfare. This is what we have to engage in all 50 states, not just Georgia. And there's some key things that they said in the interview. Number one, Cliff Albright talked about scripts. Okay, when I used to work in the call center for Netflix, and there was a conflict with Rush Limbaugh's show. Okay, Rush Limbaugh had his people call into Netflix. It was a dispute over Netflix removing ads from Rush Limbaugh's show. He had his people call into Netflix, and they were reading from a script saying if you don't start advertising again with Netflix, we're going to cancel our subscriptions. Okay, so we have to understand our history of economic withdrawal strategies. And I'm so proud of what they're doing right now, but we have to put leverage on them all 50 states. One quick question I had, Roland, are any of the major civil rights organizations working with them, NAACP, Urban League, nationally? Are they working with them to help put pressure? Because they have contacts with these corporations.
Well, again, just waiting for here, again, they got contacts, but the corporations, and look, I've hit some of the corporations. But bottom line is they're still, sort of like this, where they gonna go, stuff along those lines.
Okay, so one of the things is, you know this also, Roland. You've talked about this for a number of years on your show. When you have economic withdrawal strategies, economic boycotts, there's stages that you go through. One of the stages is meeting with the corporation. Oftentimes that meeting can happen before the actual economic boycott takes place. So I was just wondering, I'm happy with what they're doing. I was just wondering at what stage are they in with certain things dealing with this. But so that's why I was asking that. And this is extremely important also. Last week on the show, when you interviewed them last Friday, they talked about some of these corporations financing Republicans who are working against our interests, okay, not just in the state of Georgia, but nationwide. And then we look at the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan that just passed. Not a single Republican in the House or Senate voted for the bill. So we also have to understand that we have to stop financing our own dehumanization. So this is why I'm so happy what they did. And I shared this, I shared their flyer from Latosha's Twitter page. I shared it on our Facebook fan page today also. We need to galvanize support around this and redistribute the pain.
Absolutely. That, look, if you don't have the votes, you got to figure out the strategy and you got to go to money. And so I got no problem with anything that they're doing in order to address this issue in Georgia, because, again, we're going to be seeing this in other states, and the exact same thing must be happening in those states as well. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.